DiDX offers communication companies to offer DID phone numbers from around the world. DiDX has numbers from over 60 countries and over 9,000 cities with instant activation and low monthly rates. These numbers can be used for calling card, VoIP, callback, call forwarding, PBXs, mobile phones, voicemail, faxing or any other voice service you can think of. Numbers are also available on per channel, per minute and per trigger basis. In addition, you'll be provided with 2 free numbers to test the compatibility and interconnection with your switch. All buying is done through your own website, with DiDX running transparently in the background, provisioning the phone numbers through your server over SIP. Our API and web service will empower you to integrate entire DiDX inventory of numbers on your website, enabling your site to have millions of phone number choices instantly. Your company gains an excellent reputation with increased revenue, more satisfied customers, and a global presence. Try out today and see what over 20,000 companies have already discovered. DiDX.net.
Most people who are beyond 69 would want to retire, not work anymore. A lot of people do work philanthropically and other work. But I personally, since I met you, I feel that you're more doing it for philanthropic reasons than for monetary reasons. I don't know. What keeps you going for the next 30 years? You want to be 100, you want to invent another baby.
Yes.
Feel like it. What keeps you going? I mean, most people don't want to move at your age.
Well,
I'm done.
That's a question to do with the reason for working, the reason for living. You know, when you wake up in the morning, why are you there? What do you want to do? Now, most people, and these are the results of multiple business surveys, want to retire. Why? Because they don't want to work. Why don't they want to work? Because they don't enjoy it. You look at all the geniuses in every field, whether that be science, whether it be business, whether it be military, whether it be political, whether it be poetry, whatever the geniuses were, when did they retire? They never did. Why? Because they couldn't wait to work. Because working was not a negative thought, it was play. They couldn't wait to get up in the morning and go into their science laboratory and play, or go into their art studio and play, or go with their musical instrument and experiment and play, or do sport. And they couldn't wait to do that. And when people would say, stop playing the violin, stop doing the training, get out of the gym, whatever. No, 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 I want to stay. So every 69-year-old person should wake up and think, John, what do I really want to do? How do I want to play? Not, I want to retire. And one of the beacons for my life is my own beloved mum. And she passed on when she was 94 years, 4 months and 4 days. And when she was 65, she was teaching at a university. And she was teaching at a university because when she was 55, she had no degree, no qualifications, and she suddenly thought, I'm Jean Buzan, I want a degree. So she went to university at the age of 55 and got a first-class master's degree in gerontology.
What is gerontology?
Gerontology is studying the process of aging. So Mum was lecturing in that, and at the age of 65, she had to retire. Because the laws said that when the human being is 65, it has to retire. So Mum, she presented her thoughts to the university, and she said how crazy you are I am 65. I have just begun to enter the age that I am studying, that I have my degree in, and I'm entering that age. And you're now telling me I can't teach that? You're insane. So she went off and she made a business card for herself when she was 65. And she said, it said, Jean M. Buzan, retired, and really ready to carry on. And the retired word was spelt R-E-T-Y-R-E-D, retired, new tires put on. And she obviously continued to talk. She couldn't wait to be talking and lecturing and on the media. And when she was 70, they were going to put her on television. It was her birthday, and she was 70. And the interviewer didn't know who she was. And she came down a spiral staircase and landed on the stage. And this 40-ish-year-old interviewer said, "My God, Mrs. Buzan, you don't look 70. And my mum, the first thing she ever said on television, she said, "Young man, I am 70. If I am 70, I look 70. You, young man, think that I wasn't 70, but I am 70. And therefore what you think about 70 is not 70. This is what 70 is. And because I am, that's obviously what 70 looks like." And to his credit, he said, "Mr. Buzan, I apologize. You are absolutely correct. You look the age you are." And many people think that older means shriveled and bent and slow and lost the brain cells and becoming stupid, and that's what old means. Not at all. Depends what you believe it to be. Because if you think that old is going to be weak and poor, you will become that. But if you realize that being 70 is very young, and all the energy is compounding, the connectivity is increasing, who at 70 is going to want to retire? No one will want to retire. And the sad news there is that often people who retire, within 3 years of retiring, no matter what age they are, within 3 age, gone. Why? Because the poor brain is thinking, I'm finished, nothing to contribute, no energy, can't learn anymore, what's the point? Whereas the intelligent older brain says, boy, a whole bunch of possible days to live, let's explore more, learn more, help more.
So it is 2013 and you want to achieve by 2023 something, a really brilliant goal, which I have heard here. What is that?
Yeah, my own personal goal is global mental literacy. I want every child in the world to know everything that we've talked about and more, to know about the brain, to know more about learning the relationship between brain and body, the mens sana in corpore sano, healthy body, healthy mind, healthy body. And I want everybody to know that. Now when I go around in the school, I will often ask children in all countries, how many of you know about your brain? Not many know. How many of you know about note-taking and thinking? How many of you know about memory? And they don't. And I think, no, they all need to know that. So my goal, as with the mind maps, and as with the lecturing, and with my books, and with this, is simply get those seeds out. Send out the good news. Spread the good news. Let all those young children know how good their brains are. Let all those older people realize they ain't on the way out. They're on the way up if they decide to do that, if they regenerate. So, how long is my goal? When do I want the world to be globally mentally literate? Now. I want it now. When do I think it will happen? I think within the next few years, and definitely by 2022, because I had that vision of global mental literacy in my next 30 years.
So what are the 10 things you want to ask in 2022 to those children which you want to know the answers for in their heads?
10 questions.
Any 5, 10, 15?
Right. The questions that I ask of children, and I want wonderful responses to those, would be, for example, how many of you believe you are not particularly creative? Most children say that because they've been suppressed. I want all the children to say, yes, I am fantastically creative, because they are. I want to ask a question, do you know about how to take notes in the best form? And at the moment, most people say, well, I don't quite know, and linear, and boring, whatever. Mind maps. I want every child to know that mind mapping is the tool for their brain. I want to ask them, what are you interested in? And what are you not interested in? Now, normally, if I ask children, what are you not interested in? They will name them. Leonardo da Vinci says that everything is connected to everything else, which is true. And if everything is connected to everything else, then everything is interesting, as a baby is interested in everything. So when I ask children, what are you interested in? I want a chorus of everything. I then want to ask them, how many of you know how your memory works? How does it actually work? Have you been trained? Do you know how to remember anything you want to remember, including numbers, including images, including stories, including literature, including names and faces? Everything. How many of you know how your memory works and is magical? And I want all of them to say, yes, I do. Give me anything, Professor Buzan, to remember, and I can remember it, they will say. I want to ask yet another question. What is the relationship between your brain and your body? Is there a relationship? And what do you think the relationship is? Now, most children don't know about that, or they even think that being intelligent is being weak, being half-blind, being non-social, being a negative image of a nerd. I want them all to say, I know the relationship between brain and body, and I know that the healthier my body is, the more healthy my mind, and I know the more healthy my mind, the healthier my body. So the children you will meet, I want to meet, will all be radiant, and they'll be radiant healthily, and they'll be radiant as human beings. They'll be like light, they'll be like stars, they'll be like suns. I want to ask them, what do you know about the left and right side of your brain? So the next question I would ask is, do you know about the left and right sides of your cortex, and do you therefore know about your cognitive skills? And I want them all to say, of course I know that. Of course I know that. And I'd be asking with that question, what side of the brain do you dominantly use? And they will all say instantaneously, both sides, both sides. And they will be synergetic, multiplying intelligences. I want to ask another question. Do you know about your multiple intelligences? Do you know what they are? And do you know how to develop them? and they're all going to say yes. In other words, they will know about their, if you like, your literacy, your knowledge about words, and how your intelligence, your verbal intelligence can grow. They will know about your mathematical, your numerical intelligence, your physical intelligence, your personal intelligence, your social intelligence, your sensory intelligence, your engineering, spatial intelligence, your ethical, spiritual intelligence, your loving intelligence, your creativity and its infinite capacity. All the children that I want to ask that question of, I want them all to say, Professor Buzan, I know all that, and I've used it all, I've developed it. I will then ask, how many of you know about your eye, your perception, your artistic capability, and your ability to read, and to read words, to read text, and to read people, and to read nature and animals, the universe. How many of you know about your extraordinary eye and how it does it and how you can use it? And all of them are going to say, yes, Professor Buzan, I know that, and I can see in the way that the eye is designed to see. I will ask them also, how many of you love and enjoy studying and learning and thinking? And rather than saying, well, you know, studying is boring and I don't like so-and-so and I can't do well, they're all going to say, what do you mean, Professor Buzan? What do you mean? Of course I can study and read and learn everything. And do I love it? Of course I do. It's the reason of my life, is to learn and study and expand and create and communicate. So I, as a child, of course I know that. And I want a lot more questions. But the last of the 10 at the moment is, are you happy? And do you want to be happy? And are you helping to make other people happy? Are you working for peacefulness and cooperation and enjoyment and community of all people? In a sense, do you want to be part of a really global brain that is utopian? And I want every single one of them to say, well, Professor Buzan, with all these other questions, quite obviously, why did you even ask this question? You know, it's obvious, Professor Buzan, yes, I do, and yes, I want peace, and yes, I want cooperation, yes, I want communication, yes, I want the world to erase its suffering, and I want people to be happy, like I am, says the student. That's the first 10.
What else would you like to add? What do you want to learn? Oh, you said about the...
yes. Well, one of the important educational questions is, number one, should people mind map or not? Obviously they should. Mind map uses both sides of the brain. But the really interesting question for that is, well, what about doing a mind map with your hand or doing it with computer? You know, are they the same? And the answer is, they are not the same. So what am I, as the father of that, the inventor of it, what would I say to people? Yes or no, hand or computer? It is not either or, which is a kind of a weak way of thinking. It's not either or, it's both and. For example, if you do a mind map with your hand, you're actually using your muscles in a dance. So if there was a mind map here that I was building, I would be so it's a dance, and I'd be curving this, and then I'd be adding this, and I'd be dung 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 dung. So it's rhythmical, it's musical, it's muscular, it's kinesthetic memory, it's immediately visual, that you are, as an artist, adjusting, changing. With the mind map, you're selecting colors, so you're moving on, and when you select a color, you are stimulating your brain, and you are also encouraging your physical, mental, perceptual relationship with the mind map. So when you are using your hand, it really is valuable, it's useful. So what about a computer? Well, think about that. Are there advantages in that? Yes, there are. Because you can mind map, and you can go dung, and you change the colors in a brush. Now with your hand-drawn mind map, you think, oh, I'll change that color, a bit more difficult. But with the computer, you can change the color. With the computer mind map, you can take a branch and you can curve it, or bend it, or extend it, or link it, or you can actually pick that branch up, transfer it, and put it in another area of your mind map. You can do a mind map on one key idea on your mind map, so you click and you build a mind map on that. So you've now done your first mind map, and you can drill down into that keyword on the first part, boom, and you create another mind map. And in that second level mind map, you can click and build another mind map. So you can go down like an electron microscope into the mind map, into your thinking. Or you can zoom back out, see the big one, which is seeing the universe. With a computer mind map, if you are filling the page, what do? You just add and add and add. What happens with a hand mind map? Well, stuck into the page, the edge. So both the hand and the computer mind map have tremendous advantages. So they are companions. One of my dreams was to work on computer mind map, and I thought in the late 60s, early 70s, I thought, well, that's going to be easy, it's simple. Very complex, which was another realization that human thinking is astonishingly complex. For the computers to be able to do it, they couldn't. And I had to work on it, and the computers were producing a kind of mind map software, but all the mind maps looked arthritic and rigid and colorless. They looked non-human, unhuman. So I was trying to get a computer software that would actually be able to produce a mind map on the computer screen that looked as if it had been drawn by the human hand, the human brain. And that didn't happen until 2005. And then a man called Chris Griffiths said, I can do that. He was a mind mapper, he taught his children, he had his own visual mind and built videos for children in education. And he said, I will devote my time, devote my life to develop it. And he did, with a computer software called iMindMap. And when I saw it for the first time, I saw on the screen this branch growing out of the central image. The hair stood on the back of my neck with delight. And the computer software, I use the hand. So for example, if I'm thinking about something and I'm involved in it and I'm exploring it, I will tend to say, okay, I'll draw that, I'll stay involved with that, and I'll play around with ideas. And if I then want to do a lecture, a presentation, whatever, I will think about it, and when I've got it, I will then put it onto iMindMap, and there it is. And then I can communicate with it, I can extend it, I can save it, I can test myself. One very useful thing with a computer software is that I can build a kind of a mind map on a subject I study or learn, and I build it, and there's a big mind map of the new subject I have studied. And then I want to test myself. Do I really know this? I can click, take off the words, take off the branches, just have the center. And then I have to think, what did I just learn? And then I have to think, boom, and test myself. And the computer software is a wonderful self-engagement testing tool. So the simple answer is hand or computer, both.
Anything else you want to add for people who should know something? They must.
One of the things I would say to everybody is make your brain your hobby. Make your brain your hobby. Because when you make your brain your hobby, you love it. And your brain is like a child. When you love the child and you help it, what happens to the child? It flourishes. Similarly with your brain. When you make it your hobby, then you can scan the web, you can read the books, you can meet the people, you can go to courses, you can become a student of yourself. And what is fascinating about that is that the more you make your brain your hobby, the more interested you become. So it's interest. And in terms of finances, interest. You gain more and more wealth. And it's real wealth. It can include some finance, but it's real wealth. This infinite resource, your human brain. Make it your hobby, and it will create your life.
What did you think of Pakistan, and how can we improve it?
I thought of Pakistan as a young boy, as kind of part of the empire, because we were taught geography and history poorly. I thought of it as a cricketing country. I thought of it as energetic and tropical. And then recently, media was pretty negative about Pakistan. One of the flashing of the news was everybody in Pakistan is a terrorist and kills people. Now, I immediately realized that that was absurdity, because if everybody of the 180 million people in Pakistan were revolutionaries and were killers and terrorists, then the number of people who remained in Pakistan would be zero, or one. The only one remained standing. So I realized that that was obviously not true. I then began to investigate obviously more into the history. And the history, if you actually look at it as an agglomeration of human beings, it was and is incredibly energetic, incredibly creative, a very passionate group of people that have produced, in terms of culture, beautiful poetry, beautiful writing, exquisite food, wonderful general culture, dance, culture. So the mind of the people was a creative, energetic mind. Could some people use that inappropriately? As every human being could. Was it fundamentally a loving group of people? Yes. And so when I came, against media advice should I come, my immediate thought was, of course I will come. I've never been there. How will I know what it's like unless I am there and I am meeting the people? I am traveling around. I am meeting the shop people, I'm meeting the children, I'm meeting the educators, I'm meeting the business people. So I knew I was going to have a good time. I knew I was going to enjoy it. I enjoyed it far more than I thought I would. I thought I was going to enjoy it, but I love it. On the simplest level, the food was magnificent. The barbecue was wonderful. The friendliness of the people, the curiosity and relationship of the children, all wonderful. I mean, a wonderful society. And with terrorism going on and revolution going on, the people handled that really, really well, and were obviously sad about deaths. Now, if people are sad, if a nation is sad, then they feel and they are concerned and they don't want suffering, and that's Pakistan. And the most lovely, if you like, little magical symbol of the culture, and I actually put that on the social network this morning when I woke up, was that the buses that travel around the roads are like art mind maps. Beautiful illustrations, beautiful connections, symbolisms, a beautiful thought. And every one of those buses was unique. So like a wonderful manifestation of the beauty of intelligence. So I have said to people, look at those. Look at those. What a phenomenal mind can produce that. And whenever you see them, look at them. Protect them. They're a wonderful manifestation of the spirit, the color, the thinking, the intelligence of Pakistan.
Any guideline for people of Pakistan how to make it better? We have seen a lot of things around the world. What should they do to improve the circumstances, because most of them feel they are stuck. They can't do anything about it.
How do people improve Pakistan? It's the same answer to the question, how does anybody in any country improve their lot? And the answer is the dawn of the age of intelligence. Intelligence has to be grown, has to be nurtured, has to be unleashed. So Pakistan and all nations have to make sure that education really means education, not just stuffing facts into a brain, but actually teaching them how to learn, and then they can create, then they can think and apply and act intelligently, and then the country will evolve more rapidly to a positive future.
Thank you so much, Daddy.
DiDX offers communication companies to offer DID phone numbers from around the world. DiDX has numbers from over 60 countries and over 9,000 cities with instant activation and low monthly rates. These numbers can be used for calling card, VoIP, callback, call forwarding, PBXs, mobile phones, voicemail, faxing, or any other voice service you can think of. Numbers are also available on per channel, per minute, and per trigger basis. In addition, you'll be provided with 2 free numbers to test the compatibility and interconnection with your switch. All buying is done through your own website, with DiDX running transparently in the background, provisioning the phone numbers through your server over SIP. Our API and web service will empower you to integrate entire DiDX inventory of numbers on your website, enabling your site to have millions of phone number choices instantly. Your company gains an excellent reputation with increased revenue, more satisfied customers, and a global presence. Try out today and see what over 20,000 companies have already discovered. DiDX.net